Today, I want to talk to you guys about encounters in the Bazaar. Encounters are basically what we call every choice that you make. When you're presented with a few different options in front of you, it's because you're at an encounter. And maybe that's a merchant, maybe it's a villain, maybe it's a street festival, or whatever cool thing you found in the Bazaar. You're going to be confronted with this encounter, and it's going to present you with a few different options. And that's kind of the way that you draft. You make those choices, your build gets stronger, you progress through the game until your run ends. So of course, all this is subject to change, but right now there are 8 encounters in the course of a day. So if you check the clock, we have these 8 different tick marks that kind of go through and show every single step of a day. And every single one of these tick marks is an encounter. Every encounter is a choice. In order to make our game as fun as possible, we need to design lots of these encounters. We want them to all be flavorful. We want them to all create interesting drafting decisions. We want them to change the way that you evaluate cards so that every run feels different from every other run. So getting this encounter design right is one of the most important design challenges we have. After you finish the 8 encounters during a day, then you get paired against an opponent for a PvP fight. Now, originally we were designing these encounters as kind of one-off events or one-off merchants, but we've gotten a lot of cool new tech and new features since then that's let us make them in more interesting ways. One cool thing that we can do now is make events with continuity. So you can have something happen during a day that's going to affect a future event that you have, rather than just having these encounters all be one-off isolated incidents where you buy an item and then never see the merchant again.
One of the things that's really excited about developing the Bazaar right now is we've started getting a bunch of new technology around encounters that are going to let us really change the breadth of the sort of encounters that we have. One of them is the idea that the result of an encounter might guarantee an encounter later down the line. So you might run into a courier who has a package and they're being chased by, a bunch of hoodlums, and they need you to hold that package while they make an escape. And assuming you survive the next 4 or 5 days and don't fail out of the run, the courier will show back up and say like, hey, where's my package? And there's different outcomes to, I kept it all this time, give me a reward, or sorry, I sold it because I really needed brass knuckles right then.
There's all sorts of cool little storytelling tools we have now that we can do events with continuity like this. That's just one of the big features that was added recently, but we have a lot more in the works for these events. At the end of the day, we want them to feel as different from one another as possible. We want them to all be very flavorful and set within the theme of the universe of the Bazaar. And we really want you to feel like you're learning a little bit more about the world and the IP. And these encounters are our best storytelling vehicle for the game. So we really want to leverage them in every way we can.
The other piece of technology that I'm really, really excited about is a general idea of memory, which means that encounters can remember how you've responded to previous encounters, and they can also respond to just other things that you have done, which will create a lot more variety in runs. It'll create a lot more flavor in terms of things really like responding to how you played that run, that sense of like, the game, it's seeing what I'm doing and it's changing because of how I'm playing this run. So right now we have a creature in the game that is called the small furry creature, and you fight it and it's super adorable. And you beat it up and you take its gold and it runs off. We would very much like to have a creature that is a large furry creature. That creature, in my mind, should change based on whether or not you have beaten up 1 or potentially 5 small furry creatures during that run. And if we wanted to get real fancy about it and we had time, we could even do a thing with a small furry creature encounter where you actually have multiple choices. You could say, I'm going to fight it and I'm going to take some gold at the end. Or maybe there's an option that has a little less risk and a little less reward. But when you run into, the big alpha at the end, it might respond very differently to you if you've run into small furry creatures 3 times in the past couple of days and you've pet all of them on the head, right? It might show up and give you a present. It might find some way to intervene in one of your fights. It might restore some of your health, right? There's a bunch of cool things we can do there.
So since encounters can have just about any kind of output that the game supports, right? They could give you an item, they could start a fight with something, they could give you player stats, they could let you trade any of your resources for other stuff. There's a lot of work that goes into designing them so that they play the right way and make the game more fun. We've definitely at times kind of over-indexed on encounters that give you stats, and we found that if everything's just giving you strength or speed, it starts to feel more like a choose your own adventure RPG type of game. But at its core, we want the Bazaar to be a drafting experience. We want the focus to be on the items. We want these encounters to change what items are presented to you, or to change the nature of the items you already have, or maybe they incentivize you to change your items up and sell them or transform them into other things. The focus of the game at the end of the day is going to be the items. It's going to be the drafting. It's going to be in the choices you make and optimizing for synergy. That's kind of the player behavior we want to funnel everything towards, because we think that's how the game's at its most fun.
One of the encounters we currently have in the game is there's sort of a mysterious cult and you run into them, and they will offer to give you a bunch of strength, like a permanent stat that makes you better with weapons, but they're going to take away a bunch of your max health, which is a strictly mechanical choice, right? Am I okay sacrificing this in response to getting combat power? And so you can do this multiple times. We could remember that, and we can remember exactly how much health they took. And then we can go into monster design and say, like, well, the cult has a bunch of abilities or items that scale directly with health, but you get 2 rewards for fighting the cult. One is you get the gold, but also you get back all the health that you sold them. And now you've got like a mini game over the course of the run. But I'm really excited about making those sorts of events that really sort of give you a bunch of like long-term consequences that you can keep affecting. Like there's little mini stories that give you a bunch of strategic choice, but also give you very different feels to how that run went.
Moving forward, I think we're going to see probably fewer encounters that are just like, hey, buy some strength or some speed. And instead, we're going to see some creative ways of affecting your build. Maybe a certain encounter is like a fence and he buys your items for more money than usual and you're more inclined to sell stuff to him. Or maybe there's a magician that transforms your item into a different one. Or maybe there's just a treasure chest that you stumble upon and there's a bunch of free items that you can pick and add to your build. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it. But I think that what we have is a really flexible system that can support a bunch of these encounters. So it's on us right now to just try different things, see what's fun, iterate on it, and just try to make the best game we can for you guys. So would love any feedback that you have on any of these encounters that you see, stuff that looks fun, stuff that looks not fun, any ideas that come up that you think might be interesting. Feel free to throw those in. We love having this transparent design process with you guys, and we think it makes the game a lot better to just be kind of an open book on the development process and get feedback along the way. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for following. I'll see you guys back here on another Friday for another update video of The Bazaar.